Welcome to Voyage TV. We're already up to episode 4. We're getting some good feedback from you, and in my travel agency we've even had some good bookings. Some of you are lucky enough to be off to the lovely islands of Tahiti with Windstar, and others are doing canal boating in Europe. So, what will we have for you tonight? Welcome, Olivia.
Yes, hello,
Welcome
good morning.
along. And on my right is Teresia from Viking Cruises. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about Vikings and river cruising.
Absolutely.
And your new cruise line. So before you arrived in the studio here, we've been talking about Vikings and the whole history of it. And Hagar the Horrible came up as sort of the well-known Viking that we all know from the cartoon days. But I'm sure real life wasn't like that. So give us a bit of history of Vikings and Sweden and Norway.
Absolutely. Well, we've polished up since, as you can see. And Viking Cruises and the Vikings, we build on a legacy. We travelled the waterways that the Vikings travelled on all those years ago, and yes, that is the common picture of the wild Viking. This
warriors,
is really warriors. This is really hard for a Swedish person to have a W and a V after each other. The wild Vikings, and a lot. That's the image. That's the viewpoint that they were, raving across the country, pillaging, and all the rest of it. But it's also, what you need to remember is that these were tradesmen, and they expanded the Viking Empire to as far as today's Baghdad. Yeah. They discovered United States, North America. And recently I came across this beautiful book that was a translation from a 13th century scripture of the Vikings' handbook to doing trade. And one thing that they were very particular was about be polite. Make friends with good men.
Really?
So put your children to training. Those were this whole handbook on how to be successful doing business overseas.
And gentlemanly.
Gentlemanly way, yes.
So with that rich maritime history, and of course, as you've explained to us, the rules of engagement in terms of being gentlemanly and hospitable and hospitality, that sort of leads us into Viking Cruises, because you're taking all that tradition and hospitality, and we're travelling down some of the routes that are Viking trade routes.
Absolutely. So and like Viking River Cruises, where we started was by the purchase of 4 river vessels in Russia. So it's still one of our biggest products, and you cruise in an elegant way between Moscow and St. Petersburg. But those waterways were already trafficked by the Vikings.
And Teresia, I've been looking at this magazine, and some of the photos are just exquisite. It really looks like high-end luxury.
It is absolutely a beautiful product. I'm very careful always not to sell it as luxury, because you come from a yachting world, you know ocean cruising really well. A river vessel can only be maximum 135 metres long, 11.4 metres wide, 6 metres carriage above water.
Those are all restrictions due to the rivers,
the canals,
the depth,
the bridges. So we're confined to that space. So we can never compete with a big luxury ship that goes on the oceans and has endless amount of space. But in that amount of space, we need to be very particular about what we use it for, making sure that we create a sense of space. So the design, the longships are designed by Gerard and Storbråten and Rotet Studios in Los Angeles. So you get that luxury feeling on board, but in terms of amenities and services, I'm really careful of calling it luxury, because that puts a different mindset in your mind. But yes, you feel absolutely treated, and it's very, very elegant, sophisticated surroundings.
What I like about the whole concept of river cruising is that there is always somewhere to look at. You're on the river, there's something happening all the time. There's always a view.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if you think about it, a lot of the places that we go to, the places that you would go on any way tour or self-drive or whatever you're doing through Europe. They're there because there is a river there. And of course, that easy access, you come to small towns, you come to big cities, and you just walk off the ship. It's such an easy way to explore Europe because you're moving through it, enjoying the scenery, or sometimes most oftenly actually, you move during nighttime hours, so you're asleep, so you wake up in a new destination. But the fact that you are in this beautiful boutique hotel in the best location in town every day makes exploration and makes you feel like you're part of that city in a whole different way than turning up with 3,000 of your new best friends.
Okay, so on terms of super yachts, we're always cruising along the coast and it's all really small little coastal towns. So on these beautiful rivers, you'd be able to explore some of the bigger cities and whatnot, wouldn't you? So what would you say would be the best trip? Where would you take us?
Personally speaking, our most popular itinerary, and that's the most popular itinerary across the entire industry, is Amsterdam to Budapest or reverse. And the reason why it's so popular, it's 5 countries, and it's 2 weeks in length. So it's a good enough time to get to know the way of travel. I always say that if you're not 100% sure whether river cruising is your thing, go on a 1-week itinerary. It gives you a taste of it, and you see what it's all about, but you're not committed to the 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Whereas 2 weeks, I find that a week is a little bit short because you're just getting into it and then you have to go. But a 2-week itinerary, and that Amsterdam to Budapest itinerary, is just marvelous because it really takes you through. Maybe it's as a Swedish person, I wouldn't call Northern Europe, Holland and the Low Countries, but you travel through history in such a beautiful way, and certainly that part between Vienna through Bratislava, Budapest, where it feels like when you're going through all the towns and you get to know about the history, it feels like you're following this Habsburg family from rise and fall. It's fantastic.
Thanks, Teresia. We need to take a short advertising break and we'll be coming back to hear more about Viking River Cruises.
Ed and Vivo, we've got the biggest crush on Graham Norton. So we flew all the way to his place so he could have a crush on us. Graham Norton's own Sauvignon Blanc. Southern Hemisphere grapes meet Northern Hemisphere fab.
Small, intimate, unique. Being on a Windstar cruise is like being on your own private yacht, where freedom is the order of every day. Casual elegance is the style of choice. And the world's most enchanting places inspire the voyage of a lifetime. This is like nothing you've ever done before. Windstar Cruises, 180 degrees from ordinary.
So what would be a typical day if we wake up, open our curtains, we've arrived in a new place?
So you go down to the beautiful breakfast. So it's anything from the most beautiful continental breakfast to eggs made to order. So you're already treated there from the start. If you want your champagne, it's there as well.
For breakfast?
For breakfast, of course.
There you go.
Of course. And you finish your breakfast, and then the sightseeing tour starts. So every day there's an included sightseeing tour. So you go off to your sightseeing tour, which usually takes you back to the ship at about midday for lunch. Either you sit down, you have a full 3-course lunch, or if you just want to grab something quickly, there's the Aquavit Terrace, which has a beautiful little cafe-style dining area where you can have salads and breads and maybe one hot meal or something. But it's just something quick. But if you want the 3-course, you go down to the dining room. So you have your lunch, and then usually you have pretty much all afternoon in port in most places. So you go back
out there.
Go back out there, because you're right there. So you forget your camera in your room. It's no big deal to just trot back and pick it up, and you're in amongst it again. So it's really, think of it, yes, you have the convenience and the luxuries, call it, of a ship. But it really is about the destination. It is really a hotel experience in that sense, that the entertainment is outside. Yes.
Yeah. Because one of the big advantages, if I'm getting on in Amsterdam, I'm unpacking once. It's great, I love that.
Exactly. Look, once you've done a cruise, I think that is the one big thing you always think about, that what a relief it is. I come into my room, I can actually use the drawers. I can use the wardrobe because I'm going to be here for a few days. So you put everything away, you have your room for all that time, and not going in and out of hotel rooms. Leave it, if you're on a coach tour, leave your bag outside at 6 o'clock in the morning every morning. You know, it takes the enjoyment out of it.
I like to unpack once, and for 2 weeks that'd be great. I can be a little bit messy if I like, but everything's put away, once only.
Oh, right. Enough about packing, Gerard. I love the sound of this whole dining experience. Can you tell us a little more about that?
We cater for an English-speaking traveller, but food is so much a part of the history and culture of the destination you're travelling through. So, of course, all the wonderful flavours of that destination you get to enjoy on board as well. So it's beautifully prepared by our local chefs and our chefs on board. And what I love about it is that you get these beautiful meals prepared, and you can have 4 courses, 5 courses, 6 courses, even sometimes.
Yes, stunning.
But it's not huge meals. It's really delicately put together, and it gives you that flavour, and it's always paired up with beautiful wines. Viking Cruises we have our own winter in Wachau Valley. So we produce, we don't produce it, but he produces it for us. So it's a beautiful dining experience, and there's excursions that if you're really into your food, that you can actually, together with the chefs, go out in the morning, go to the local market, pick up the produce, and be part of that selection process.
That's fantastic. So it's a little bit more personalised.
Exactly.
And lovely.
Exactly, and that extension of it that you can also try it for yourself. I mean, if you're traveling through Austria, of course you have to learn to make an Apfelstrudel.
Yeah.
So we have demonstrations, and you can participate,
fantastic.
and I believe that there's a bit of competition in there as well.
So it's bringing the culture right on board, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Food, wine, everything.
Food,
music.
wine, music. Entertainment on board a river ship is always very understated, but you always have a baby grand piano and someone entertaining in the lounge. But then, yes, we bring on board local singers or dancers or something to give you that local flavour.
And just to get an idea of the luxury on board, what's the ratio of crew to guest on board?
Let me throw it out to you. On a river ship, it's very, very different. Because you're only looking at 190 guests that will at any time travel with us. And we have fantastic hotel team, the hospitality team, everyone looks after them. But because it's such a small context, you throw a seaman on board who's not going to have any customer facing contact at all, and you bump up your numbers.
And so what do you think the big advantages of Viking Cruises compared to other companies?
That's an easy one.
It is a super easy one because I go straight to myself and straight to my heart. One of the reasons that I'm so proud to be a Viking and working with Viking Cruises is that we employ everyone. So we're the only owner-operator in the category. We're the only ones who have everyone on board from on board, pardon the pun, the ship to on board marketing, sales, everything. Right. We're all the one family.
Right.
So just to give you an idea, in January this year, we employed 2,100 people.
Wow. You must have a big recruitment team.
I don't know how they do it, but they do it. It's amazing. We in Cologne this year, we had this massive training. So we have 12 ships lined up next to each other, and you have the chefs in one room. You have it's quite fantastic.
Wow.
So it's a massive machine to operate, but that's something we pride ourselves on because everyone travels with their boss. If you look at it from a staff situation. So things go wrong, we can fix it then and there. Yeah. Everyone is under the same Swiss hotel management team.
Now, the other bit of news, as Teresia's just said, Viking is one big family unit. But the big news for them is they are launching an ocean cruising company as well. Now, Teresia, I believe that is 3 new ships.
3 new ships, so that have been announced.
You just went out and ordered 3 new ships?
Yes. We've been in the extremely fortunate position to start from scratch. Our owner and CEO, Mr. Torsten Hagen, whose history is Royal Viking Line.
I met him once in Auckland on Royal Viking Star. We owned that. It was a long time ago.
Wonderful. Well, he and his ocean team has had the great fortune to put really start from scratch. What is the ultimate cruise? What is the ultimate cruise ship? And start from scratch, building it, cutting steel.
So we're carrying on the ancient tradition of Vikings building the boats from ground up, and that's still happening.
Absolutely,
right,
absolutely. It's an exciting chapter that we embark now in May in Bergen when the Viking Star, the first of the three, is christened, and it's been received fantastically well. And
I believe the bookings have been pretty heavy.
Very heavy, very heavy, and we. When we went out to our past guests asking them, should we do this, should we go onto the oceans, 84% of them said, absolutely, we'll travel with you. So that's of course a very good message when you go to the bank. And, and we've created this ocean experience that is a river cruise in that sense, that the focus is on the destination. We spend more time than anybody else in port, so an average of 12.1 hours in port every day. So more at time in port. The convenience of a luxurious ship, obviously, but it's also very specific with who we're targeting. It's not for families, it's not for gamblers, it's not for partygoers, because there's no kids allowed on board, no casinos, no tipping, no inside rooms, it's all verandas.
But you still got food and wine and entertainment.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? No speciality charges for the speciality dining.
That's
So-
a bit of a difference.
All part of
in
the package.
our
It's all
industry.
part of
I
the
think I'd
package.
put on a few kgs after the trip then, by the sounds of it.
And hardly any sea days. We only tender to 2 ports.
The whole of the Viking story is really interesting to me, and as an industry we're looking forward to Viking Ocean cruises as well as river cruises. And I'd like to thank Teresia for coming in and talking Viking with us. It's got me all excited and invigorated. I want to be a Viking again. So, again. So thank you very much for Teresia. It is customary for our visitors to walk away with the bottle of In Vivo wine.
Oh,
You may not know, but In Vivo is the wine that Graham Norton has on his show, and it's customary. They are a sponsor of our little show here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next time you're in Auckland, we'll have to bring you on and talk in more depth about Viking Ocean cruises.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
The spirit of our home lives in moments like these. Hawaiian Airlines. Hawaii flies with us.
Welcome back. Now, we can't let Viking River Cruises go without our weekly special, of course. So Teresia and the people at Viking have given us a good deal. If you take one of their, as an example, if you take one of their 15-day, 14-night cruises from Amsterdam to Budapest, we've chosen October just as a good sample. The cabins start from 7290, and that's for the standard cabin. But if you want the French balcony cabin, so you can open those doors and really enjoy the river and the sights, they're from 8256. But the Bon Voyage TV special is if you book any of those in the next 3 weeks, then we will give you $200 per person to spend on board. It's a great deal. So call Bon Voyage Cruises and Travel or check our website for further details. Now, Olivia, those rivers of Europe sound pretty amazing.
Yeah, they sound absolutely
Now,
stunning.
in your super yachting days, did you manage to take one of those yachts up any of the rivers? Or?
No, not so much rivers, we were more ocean-based, but we did do some pretty amazing canals, like the Kiel Canal in Germany, and obviously massive canals like the Suez Canal and Panama Canal and that sort of thing. Yes, the rivers.
That's pretty good. So you know all about
pretty
canals.
special, yeah.
Good. Now, when we started this program a couple of weeks ago, we found out that you had spent a long time on super yachts.
Yes.
And you promised to bring in some of your snapshots. So
Yes.
this is the first week. Mm-hmm. What's in your album?
So today I thought I would talk about Alaska. Because when you said last night, you know, maybe talk about one of your trips, the first thing that popped into my head was Alaska, because it really is the most incredible place that I've ever been. So many stories to tell. It's hard to know where to start.
You've got time for one.
I have
Make
to
it a
narrow
goodie.
it down. So when I was in Alaska, I tried to make, you know, the best opportunity of being there. So every morning, or as much as I could, I would get out kayaking. And so often this would be at 5 o'clock in the morning, and usually with somebody else.
Well, that's before the boss gets up here, wants breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. I was breakfast girl, so I had to start at 7, so that way I could get an hour kayaking in and then be back to work. And this particular morning I got up by myself, no one was with me, and as I walked towards the aft deck, I could hear this thunderous sound, and I got to the back and there was a huge humpback whale that was breaching and landing and making this huge sound, and it was about 100
Right there.
metres. Yeah, 100 metres off the back of the boat. So the first thing I did, I don't know what went through my head, but I jumped in my kayak as fast as I could and paddled right out to this massive whale.
That's a big whale and you've got a little kayak. How is that going to work?
Yeah, exactly. I got out there and then all of a sudden it was just this eerie calm, and the water was so flat and everything was so quiet, and it just dawned on me, oh my gosh, Olivia, you're about to get squished. This whale's going to leap out of the water and land on you. But then obviously whales are just extremely intelligent and very, very aware of what's going on. And so instead of leaping out of the water, this whale just kind of popped his head up out of the water, just literally almost,
Looked at you
an
and said,
arm's
"What
length
are you
away."
doing?
Yeah, and he blew out his big blowhole. He was so close that I could smell the blowhole. It smells kind of fishy.
What a surprise.
And that was just absolutely serene and incredible. Yeah, one of the most special moments, I guess. And then he left me. He obviously didn't like me very much and he swam away, but yeah, that was pretty special.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please don't try this at home or in your kayak. Lucky you survived and you're here.
Yeah.
Because
no.
it's time for the news. So you can,
okie dokie.
and in another, I believe we start with another silly moment, and you can tell us all about what
Yes.
happened earlier this week.
Right, so an inaugural Virgin Atlantic flight from Manchester to Atlanta was grounded on Monday after a water cannon salute went horribly wrong. So the salute is often carried out by airport fire engines to celebrate a new flight. But as the pilot said to his passengers, the plane was being given a water cannon salute. Unfortunately, someone had pressed the button for foam instead of water.
That's not good.
And it's clogged the engines. So yes, I'm sure an expensive little mistake with hotel stays and meals and all that sort of thing for the
And
guests.
a little bit of retraining for that fireman who doesn't know water from foam.
Yeah. Maybe just the smashing the champagne bottle would be suffice for the next one, or is that only boats?
Only ships, because
okay.
that would probably dent the aluminium. Or snap the carbon fibre.
Right, I'm not so airplane savvy. Okay, next one, Russians stay home. It's an interesting
Well, it's usually
title.
Russians go home, but-
Yeah. Hopefully it's not as xenophobic as the title sounds. The Russians are staying home. Tourism out of Russia has fallen between 50 to 70% so far this year. In any ordinary year, the resort towns of Spain and Greece and Italy would be looking ahead to a rising tide of Russians and their typically lavish holiday spending.
They do spend a lot.
Yes, well, majority of actually the owners on the yachts were Russian and from that eastern area.
Big tippers.
Yes, they are big tippers actually, yes. But this is no ordinary year. A steep drop in oil prices have sent the ruble tumbling against the dollar and euro, raising the cost of foreign travel and cutting Russians' real wages by nearly 10% compared to 2014.
Some of those hotels and tourist companies will be feeling
Yeah.
lack of Russian spending.
Not so good with places such as Greece that are already in financial struggle.
That's right. But if you've got a leader that looks like this and you can go bear hunting with your, president, why would you leave?
Oh, absolutely. It's a dream. All right, have you ever had a bag go missing on any of your flights?
Twice.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, not too bad though, because I got them the same day, so it was.
Oh, that's
was
pretty
okay.
good, yeah. So, well, with 3.3 billion people flying last year, it's surprising more bags don't go astray.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, last
A lot
year,
of bags.
Yes. Surprisingly though, last year the lost bag rate was down by 61.3% on 2007 results. Just 7 years ago, when nearly 19 bags per 1,000, close to 2% went astray, which I think is quite good anyway. I don't think that's bad.
No, but when you think about it, if you're going on a little flight, maybe not to Brisbane on an Airbus, that's 2 people out of the plane load are going to lose a bag. On average, they probably won't. But
Right, I guess so, yeah. Last year that was down to under 0.73% or 7.3 bags per 1,000.
so that's about 1 person on a small flight, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of the numbers quite
But
that way.
it's still a lot.
It is. So that decreases despite a huge increase in number of people flying and is put down to improvements in baggage handling systems due to significant investments in technology and automated systems.
Barcoding and things like that.
Ah, yes.
Now, what you may not know is there's 2 companies, Glidepath and BCS, in New Zealand, based in New Zealand, doing all their research in New Zealand, who lead the way in automated baggage system technology.
Okay, good old Kiwis, eh? We're doing very well. Of the bags still going west, when you've travelled east, around 49% were delayed between connecting flights. Apparently the vast majority of these bags were reunited with their owners within 1 to 2 days.
It's not too bad, but
Oh, it's still quite an inconvenience though, isn't it? And I always say, I've travelled a lot, and always just take a day's worth of things that you need in your carry-on. A little change of clothes and your little toiletries and your makeup bag.
assume you're on your
then
own
you're
for 24
safe.
hours.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah.
come armed. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of baggage, and you may have noticed that we had some Hawaii advertising in our ad breaks a few
Yes.
minutes ago. The big news is we've got our sponsor on board for our New Zealand's Best Packer competition.
Yeah.
Now, people either think they're rubbish at packing a bag, other people pride themselves on being a world leader. Now's your chance to prove it. What we want you to do, and we will announce how you enter and everything next week, but what we're going to do is have people pack their bags at home. They can take a YouTube video or images, photos. If you're not good with that sort of technology, get one of your young ones, children or grandkids, to come and video you doing it or taking photos of you. What we want to see is how you start your pile of luggage and how it finishes. That will be sent in to us. We'll tell you how next week. That will be sent to us. We will choose 1 person a week who's going to be our weekly winner. They will get some Voyager luggage, and then at the end of our competition, 3 people will be chosen. They'll be brought into our wonderful studio here, and we're going to have a live pack-off to win New Zealand's Best Packer and a chance to travel to Hawaii with Hawaiian Airlines and stay at the Modern Hotel for 5 nights.
Wow,
that is
that
my
sounds
favourite hotel in the
amazing.
Waikiki area. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. So the big winner gets a trip to Hawaii, 5 nights at the Modern Hotel, all just for packing a suitcase. So look out for that next week.
Oh, that sounds amazing. We can't enter, obviously. No.
You can try. You could be the demo person. You might be the judge.
Yeah.
We'll make Olivia the judge from our point, and we'll have a couple of other guest judges as well.
Sounds good.
So look out for that next week. Also next week we've got something pretty special. We are going on our first field trip. We're taking the cameras and microphones, and Olivia and me will be filming from a new destination, not our studio. So join us next week. In the meantime, bon voyage!
Voyage!